Honorable members, let us pray. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and our good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, item 4, correction of votes and proceedings and official reports. We will start with the correction of votes of Tuesday, 21st February 2023. Page 1. Page 2. Honorable members, before I go to page 2, my attention has been drawn to the fact that the honorable member for Kumbungu, Dr. Hamza Adam, is now an associate professor. And so he should be properly now be addressed as Honorable Professor Hamza Adam. Table office, kindly take note so that in the votes and proceedings you capture it properly. Page 2. Page 3. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 8. Yes. Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, on page 8, item 4, I think number 15, the Honorable Butchie Daniel, he was present. I checked and I can confirm that if table office could correct that. Thank you, Speaker.
Table office kindly take note of the correction. Page 9. Page 10. Page 11. Page 12. Page 13. Page 14. Honorable members, the votes and proceedings of the 9th sitting held on Tuesday, 21st February 2023, as corrected, are adopted as a true record of proceedings. I have a copy of the official report of Tuesday, 17th July 2022. Please, any corrections? Honorable members, in the absence of any corrections, the official report of Tuesday, 12th July 2022 is hereby adopted as a true record of proceedings. With this, we move on to item 5. Item 5, questions. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources to take his proper seat. Honorable members, in view of the nature of business for today and the number of questions on today's order paper, we may need to have some time management during the question time. So bear with me if I try to reduce the time per question. I hope you understand. So we'll start with question number 1418. The question stands in the name of Ms. Dorcas Tofi, the honorable member for Jomoro, Honorable member, you may ask your question now. I can't identify the honorable member. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, with your permission, I have the permission of our colleague to ask the question on her behalf, more so that the minister has already come and prepared so that we can efficiently use the minister's and the parliament's time.
With your leave.
With your leave, I would like to ask a question on behalf of my colleague. Yes, I do have the authority to do that.
Yes, so the main thing is that you have authority to ask a question on her behalf.
Thank you.
So you can proceed to do so. I grant you permission.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources what effort the ministry is making to ensure that the land reserve areas are protected and enhanced in the country.
Yes, Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the question posed by the honourable member is not very clear. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and the Lands Commission have no concept known as, quote, land reserve areas, end quote. I'm therefore constrained from providing an appropriate answer to the question. I'm, however, aware that some time ago, government mooted the idea of land banks, where lands were compulsorily acquired for future use. These lands became public lands after acquisition and are subject to the same protection as public lands. If the honourable member's question is in respect of land banks, then my subsequent answer to question 1570, which is specifically on the protection of public lands, will fully answer the question. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, any supplementary?
Mr. Speaker, I'm satisfied.
Thank you. We'll move on to question number 1505. Stands in the name of Mr. Mohammed Adams Suparu, the honourable member for Sisala West. Honourable member, please, you may ask your question now. Yes.
Right, Honourable Speaker. I have the leave of the Member of Parliament to request leave from you to ask the question on his behalf. Thank you.
I didn't hear you properly.
Right, Honourable Speaker. What I'm saying is that I have the permission of the Honourable Member to request leave from you to ask the question on his behalf.
Permission. When you are acting on behalf of a member, you are acting as an attorney. And so what you ask for is authority, not permission. I can grant permission, but not the honourable member. You need his authority. And sometimes they used to ask for the authority in writing, but here we waive that. And so, because you are honourable members, we believe you will be honest. You are people of integrity, so you do the right thing. So if you have his authority, say so, not his permission.
Mr. Speaker, may you live long, and may you continue to guide us with your wisdom.
I only need 100 years.
Mr. Speaker, I am guided, and so I do have the authority of the Member of Parliament to seek your permission to ask his question on his behalf. I hope you grant me the permission to so do. Thank you.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
Speaker, ordinarily I wouldn't do this, but Speaker, in this House, we defer to you on matters of procedure. But if my friend is minded to look at the 68.3, so there is underlying requirements, and that is with your prior permission. So it's becoming too many members having permission of absentees. I want to find out if indeed he sought your prior permission. Otherwise, colleagues are maybe inadvertently abusing the rules. This is a rude surprise on you. So he should be told to do the right thing. He should have sought the Speaker's prior permission. And that is how it is done. You don't do this on the floor.
Yes. That's what. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the request by my colleague was made to you. The 68.3, my colleague the majority chief whip talked about, that permission would have been sent to you, and you are under no obligation to declare to us or to him whether you have prior knowledge. So, Mr. Speaker, the request of my colleague is in place. You are the only one who can determine whether you've had prior information or not. So, Mr. Speaker, we still are appealing to you to listen to our colleague and make the appropriate permission, give the appropriate permission as to whether he should ask the question or not.
Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, when the minority chief whip got up, I thought he was going to say something in opposition to the matter raised by Honorable Anodombre, the majority chief whip. His argument is that you are under no obligation to disclose whether you have prior permission. Yes, but Mr. Speaker did not indicate that he had prior permission. He was rather directing the honorable member on what to do under the rule. So it is clear from Mr. Speaker that he has not given prior permission. No, it's clear. And Mr. Speaker, the rule is clear. You brought the minister sometimes even when they have some other engagement, we insist on letting them come. They have come. So, Mr. Speaker, it is not a matter of you are under no obligation. It is a matter of prior permission. That notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, it is a member's right to ask questions, and it's a member's right to support a member to help his constituents. So we are not opposed to the application.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, honorable member.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do not doubt your, wise, guidance on this matter, but I just thought I should provide a little bit of information. Mr. Speaker, these questions were to be asked on the 16th of February, and I do know that the members who are absent today were present and ready to ask those questions. But at the request of the minister, who was unavoidably absent from the country, the questions were rescheduled. And perhaps it has coincided with other equally important engagements on the parts of my colleagues, and that has necessitated their absence today. But, Mr. Speaker, I will, as I conclude, want your guidance also on the matter that has been raised in relation to prior, permission. Is the prior to be sought before sitting, or the prior is related to what I am doing now before I ask the question?
Well, the practice is that the member will first seek the permission of the speaker before asking the question. That is the prior permission. When that permission is granted by the speaker, then the member will proceed to ask the question. As to the earlier submissions, if the Speaker is to be receiving prior permissions before sitting, the Speaker will definitely not have enough time for other matters. Because we have so many questions, and because of the nature of the business of the Member of Parliament, many members are caught up in other things. Even you can be on the way coming to the House, and a constituent could call you on an urgent matter that you may have to rush, either it's in the hospital or something. And so you just take your communication gadget and call a colleague. Please, you have my authority, ask this question on my behalf. And so the member can come to the floor. Before asking the question, you ask for my permission. When I grant the permission, then you proceed to ask the question. And in doing so, you must state that you have the authority of the member. If I doubt you, then I can insist that I want to see that authority. And that is where some members are always hard put. Because you have to explain that, oh, it was a telephone call or so and things. Because sometimes you recall that a member got up here to say I have the authority of another member to ask a question because the member is unavoidably absent. Then immediately that member enters. And I raise issue about it here. So always be sure that really you have the authority. You know? And that is where your honorability is cast in doubt. But I know you are honorable members. You know do what is not proper. So I think that I've granted the permission, and once you clarify that you have the authority of the member to ask the question, you may proceed to do so now.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I know you want 100, but may you live beyond that. Mr. Speaker, I had the authority of my colleague to ask the question because he was on his way here. So I'm very sure that he will join us before the session. This session is over. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources whether the families of Kwame Amahia have been duly compensated for the release of their land to be used for dairy farms. Thank you.
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, the Kwame Amahia land, measuring approximately 1.99 square miles or 1,273.6 acres, was acquired by the state in 1970 by the State Lands Kwame Amahia Modern Dairy Farm Instrument 1970 EI 47. Mr. Speaker, in accordance with the State Lands Act 1962, Act 125, the existing law at the time, and the State Lands Regulations 1962, LI 230, 5 claims were received by the Lands Commission for the payment of compensation, namely 1, Ni Amwa Okrumansa family, represented by E.K. Ashrifi; 2, Ni Kwe Mensa family; 3, Ni Afutu Brimpong; 4, Ni Amate Kwe the second; and 5, Solomon E. Odamtin. Following a judgment of the High Court, Accra, an additional claim was plotted for the Agbawe Oyarefa family. Mr. Speaker, out of the above claims, 2 claimants have received partial payment. There are 1, Ni Afutu Brimpong, 12,138 Ghana cedis, leaving a balance of 17,000 Ghana cedis, and 2, Ni Amwa Okrumansa family, 9,292 Ghana cedis, leaving a balance of 13,000 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, the other outstanding claims are as a result of conflicting claims, with some currently pending before the courts for determination. The Lands Commission is working with the relevant parties to resolve the conflicting claims to settle compensation while awaiting those pending before the courts. Mr. Speaker, I want to use this opportunity to call on this August House to support government in its quest to fully implement the Land Act 2020 Act 1036 and digitalize the records of the Lands Commission. This will do away with the issues of conflicting claims and ensure speedy payment of compensation to claimants. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, any supplementary?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to find out from the Minister how an additional claim came about after this court action that he refers to in his answer. Thank you.
Yes, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I said I gave the information in the answer I just read, which is that following a court judgment, a claim was plotted in the name of Agbawe Oyarefa family. Mr. Speaker, it means that the court gave an order that their claim should be recognized, which is why that additional claim was plotted in the name of Agbawe Oyarefa family. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much for indulging me. Like I indicated earlier, my colleague whose authority I had has eventually arrived in the hall, and I will seek your in the chamber, and I'll seek your permission to hand over the responsibility of fielding his questions to him, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. If it pleases you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Yes, Majority Chief Whip.
I commend my colleague for the honesty and the fact that he's been diligent, announcing through the Speaker to the House that the member whose name the question is advertised has arrived. However, just to remind the House that he has already asked his first follow-up, and so he should be guided accordingly, and he should inform the member appropriately.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think we are in your hands. I think the member was very polite enough to have indicated that the colleague who originally asked the question was not here. He asked the question and he's seeking your permission. So, Mr. Speaker, it is your decision. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Member. You may complete the process.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for granting my colleague the permission to ask the question on my behalf. Mr. Speaker, I actually called my colleague to ask the questions because I was stuck in the traffic on my way, and I was told, because this question actually was supposed to be taken yesterday. And so yesterday when I came, it wasn't in the other paper. So on my way, I was told that the question had been captured for today. So I had to call my deputy ranking to ask the question. So once again, thank you. And I don't have any other follow-up questions. So with your permission, if I may move to the other substantive question on the other paper.
Well, I like the honesty. The only thing I don't take is how come that your vehicle was behind the traffic? Why was yours not in front? You were caught up in traffic. Your vehicle should be in front so that you are not caught up. Yes, you may do so now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources how many companies have been given permit to mine in forest reserves from the year 2017 to 2022. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, you had the last supplementary question on the last question now. You have decided to forgo that one and to move on to the next one. Okay, thank you for doing that. So, Honourable Minister, you are called upon to answer question number 1510.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, by Section 18 of the Minerals and Mining Act 2006, Act 703, before any mining operation commences, the holder of the mineral right is required to obtain the necessary permit from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Forestry Commission. Thus, where the proposed operation falls within a forest reserve, the holder of the mineral right is required to, in addition to any other permit or authorizations, obtain a forest entry permit from the Forestry Commission before commencing the said mining operations. Mr. Speaker, since 2017, a total of 6 forest entry permits have been issued for mining in forest reserves. They are as follows. 1. CMAF Ghana Limited. This permit was granted in 2018 and expired in 2021. This permit is therefore no longer in force. 2. Chirano Gold Mines Limited. This permit was renewed in 2019 after the existing permit granted in 2014 expired in 2019. 3. Kingspep Mining Limited. The permit was granted in 2020. 4. Quanchi Mining Company Limited, granted in 2020. 5. Honest International Company Limited, granted in 2020. And 6. Transatlantic Logistics Limited, granted in 2020. Mr. Speaker, out of these 6, only Chirano Gold Mines and Quanchi Mining Company Limited are actually involved in mining. The others are still working on other permits and or authorizations required to commence their operations. Mr. Speaker, I must also add that there are other mining companies operating in forest reserves based on valid forest entry permits granted prior to 2017. They include 1. Golden Star Wasa Limited, granted in 1992. 2. Ghana Bauxite Company Limited, granted in 1997. 3. Newmont Golden Ridge Limited, granted in 2010. And 4. Jinyame Mining Limited, granted in 2016. Mr. Speaker, the Forestry Commission and the Minerals Commission continue to work with these companies to ensure that their operations do not affect the integrity of the forest. As part of measures to protect these forest reserves, we have since April 2021 suspended all recognizance, prospecting, and/or exploration activities in forest reserves, except in exceptional circumstances. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry and the Forestry Commission will continue to work with all stakeholders to protect the forest and wildlife resources of our country. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honourable member, any supplementary question?
No, Mr. Speaker.
Well, this is a general question, so yes, I can take supplementary from you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the question is on forest reserve and areas, and I appreciate the answer provided by the minister. But in an earlier question about reserves, land reserves, he talked about Ghana government or not having any reserve areas at all. I am just wondering whether it's not contradictory of your earlier answer.
The first question was on land reserve areas, and this one is on forest reserves. So there is a vast difference.
Mr. Speaker, land is either in the forest. Yeah, it's a wide description of the space. You can talk about the space. It's in the forest. It's in residential areas or anything. So I expected that should have been understood to mean land that is reserved.
Well, I'll allow the minister. I won't answer for him.
Mr. Speaker, these terminologies are legal terminologies. So when you say forest reserve, it can only be a forest reserve through statute, through law. The president has power under statute, under legislation, to declare an area a forest reserve. So is it also that public lands are also a creature of the law. The point I made earlier, that the point I made about the first question, which is land, or the language?
Reserve area.
Land reserve area. Mr. Speaker, the point I made was that it's alien to the law. I don't understand what that meant, and I stand by that. Forest reserves are forest reserves. Public lands are public lands. Land reserve areas are alien. I've never heard anything land reserve area. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in the minister's answer, he was asked to name the companies that are operating in forest. He mentioned the companies, but what he did not add was the specific forest reserves that these companies are operating in. Can the minister add the specific forest reserves in which these companies are operating in, please?
Speaker,
Yes, please.
Speaker, my colleague should take the standing orders and open to page order 69. No, you know it, then read it. Because, Speaker, with your leave, as soon as a question is answered in the House, any member beginning with the member who asked the question may, without notice, ask a supplementary question for the further elucidation of any matter of facts regarding which the answer has been given. But a supplementary question must not be used to introduce matter not included in the original question.
That's right.
So please, look at my face. Please. You are clearly out of order. Speaker, I invite you to rule him out.
You are right, Majority Chief Whip. The question did not request from the minister to specifically state the foreign reserves in which the companies were operating. And so maybe in his search to get answer to this question, he might not have looked at that. But if the minister is sure he has that available here, he could share it with the House. But it's not by our law compelled to do so, because the standing order is very clear on supplementary questions. I see the minister giving me the signal that it's not available here. So we can proceed to another supplementary question. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I will be very surprised as a former minister when I'm asked a question about a specific company and forest reserve. I'll be very interested in the specific forest reserve. But if the minister does not have that answer, I can understand that. But I think he should be able to know that.
Why? You want to be the attorney?
Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Majority Chief Whip raised an issue and grounded it on Order 69, which matter you have ruled on in his favor, and accordingly ruled out the question by the Deputy Minority Leader. So, Mr. Speaker, if he now gets up to raise another matter, it's as if he's challenging your ruling, that the question was general. If it is required to provide a specific answer, that would be in the question. So, Mr. Speaker, his question was disallowed. I don't know why he now should come back and say, if he were the minister, he would have known and all that. What are you trying to say? If you want to ask a specific question, file it so that the man will come properly prepared to give you an answer for the records. Mr. Speaker, I don't think that he's been fair to the minister he has to withdraw that statement and apologize to the minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I pay particular attention when you are speaking. In fact, when you were giving your ruling, the honorable member was having a conversation with the chief whip. He was not paying specific attention. I have read Order 69, but you were very clear. You had given the minister the opportunity to answer if he had the answers. If he did not have the answers, he could go and then we can ask a substantive question. That was your ruling. He was not paying attention.
You should tell him.
Honorable members, you don't have to split hairs over this. I've given the ruling. We can proceed. Any further supplementary? Then we move on to question number 1512, who stands in the name of Mr. Yusuf Suleimana, the honorable member for Bole Bamboy. Honorable member, you may ask your question now.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources the number and specific communities that have been granted community mining licenses in the Bole district. Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the community mining scheme was introduced by government as a way of encouraging responsible and environmentally sound small-scale mining, as opposed to illegal small-scale mining that destroys our water bodies and environment. Through this initiative, government, working with community members, seek to delineate and allocate viable areas for small-scale mining operations, along with the provisions of logistics and or mine support services. Since 2021, Mr. Speaker, we have reformed and clarified the legal and policy framework of this scheme to provide a clear pathway for responsible and sustainable small-scale mining with community ownership. And we have developed an operational manual setting standards and guidelines which all community mining schemes must meet and or comply to ensure that they operate in a safe and healthy environment and that their operations are sustainable and environmentally sound. Mr. Speaker, 2 small-scale mining licenses have been granted for community mining scheme in the Bole Bamboy district. These 2 licenses, which cover an area located in Tenga, were granted to the Kurupe Kamara Mining Group, led by Mr. Abuse Aseidu, and the Kurupe Small Scale Mining Group, led by Seidu Shaibu. Both licenses, granted in 2020, are valid for 5 years and will expire in 2025. The Minerals Commission constantly monitors their operations to ensure that they are in line with the community mining operational manual. Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the House that government is committed to a viable, sustainable, responsible, and environmentally sound small-scale mining that contributes meaningfully to our national economy. And the Ministry will continue to work with all stakeholders to promote this, to realize the vision of the President to make Ghana the mining hub of Africa. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honorable member, any supplementary question?
Mr. Speaker, in paragraph 3 of the minister's answer, he mentioned 2 licenses that have been granted. He went further to state the community, and for that matter, the area, in this case, Tinga. He also mentioned the lead people. Abu Aseidu is an uncle, and Seidu Shaibu is a cousin. These 2 people live in the Kurupe, far from Tinga, and so the 2 licenses that he's mentioned cannot be located in Tinga. Would the minister want to reconcile this? Thank you.
You talked about one being uncle and one being a cousin to who? Uncle to who? Cousin to who?
Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that these two people I've mentioned, I know them very well. And I'm saying that they are my relations. And I'm saying that they are not at Tinga. Tinga is far, far away from
Simple.
Dakurupe.
Yes, so you are saying that it's a cousin to you.
Yes.
And then uncle to you.
Sure.
But they live with you in your community.
Yes.
And that community is Dakurupe.
Dakurupe.
But
and I'm aware that these two licenses are located at Dakurupe and not Tinga. By his answer, he's saying that they are at Tinga, and that's what I want him to reconcile.
So, well, Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, first of all, the records I have suggest that the district is Bole Bamboy District, not Bole District, for the records. Mr. Speaker, secondly, with the greatest respect to my senior colleague, I'm really trying to understand the contours of his question. But Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record, and I come before this house to provide the records as captured by the Minerals Commission. And the records the Minerals Commission is giving me is what I provided to this house. Which records are that? There are 2 small-scale mining licenses granted in the Bole Bamboy district, which is the question, the substantive question the honourable member asked me. And those mining licenses are granted in favor of Dakurupe Kamara Mining Group, which is led by Abu Aseidu, and Dakurupe Small Scale Mining Group, led by Seidu Shaibu. Mr. Speaker, as you can see from my answer, they were granted in 2020, even before I became a minister. Mr. Speaker, finally, the mining concessions are located in Tinga by the records of the Minerals Commission, unless the honourable member has some unimpeachable evidence to contradict what the Minerals Commission is providing. I have no reason to doubt the records of the Minerals Commission. You don't have to live in Tinga to own a mining concession in Tinga. You can live in Accra and own a mining concession in Tinga. So those who live in the area he talked about, they are more than capable of holding mining concessions in Tinga. Mr. Speaker, these are the records provided by the Minerals Commission, and these are the records I stand by. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honourable member, these are community licenses. The names mentioned are just leaders of the community. The community is being described as group, which means not the whole community, a number of them forming a company being led by one. The leader could be living in Accra. So I didn't get the import of your question. But first Deputy Speaker to take the chair now.
Yes, honourable members, I'll move to question number 1512. The name of the honourable member for Bole Bamboy.
Mr. Speaker, as the member of parliament for Bole Bamboy, I do a lot of community visitations, and I am reliably informed that there are 2 community mining licenses granted to 2 associations in the Tinga area. And these are Tinga Wenchi cooperatives, led by one Osman Seidu. Another one is Tinga Mining Cooperative, also led by my good friend Alhaji Kwame Sapo. And these are located at Tinga. And then we have 2 separate ones also located at Dakurupe. I want the minister to confirm whether or not these 4 cooperatives exist in their records or not, so that I know those who are doing illegal mining and those who are legitimately registered and licensed. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I will respectfully ask my senior colleague to proceed with a bit of caution. So, Speaker, I should proceed with caution because people apply for mining licenses, they are granted, they are captured in the records of the Minerals Commission, which is by law the repository of all mining records in our country, Mr. Speaker. And yet they go on the ground and they parade themselves with all kinds of names. And so you may find the mining operations is just referred to with the names is mentioned to be the case in terms of the banner and the rest at the mining operation. But when you come to the records of the Minerals Commission, you will find something different. But for our purposes, Mr. Speaker, what is of consequence is what is captured in the records of the Minerals Commission. Mr. Speaker, the other two mining operations he talks about, I have no reason to doubt him. If that is the case, him and I can reconcile the facts we have. And if they are found to be illegal, small-scale mining operations, we will deal with them. But the records I've given to this House are the records as captured by the Minerals Commission. And that is what I will stand by. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't doubt my good brother, whatever he has presented, like he said, we'll reconcile that. I also have my facts, so we'll reconcile that. My last question has to do with a mining activity and going on around Bamboy, Joboy area by some Chinese companies. Just last 2 weeks, I received so many calls. I want to find out from my brother, the minister responsible for lands and natural resources, whether he's aware of that operations and whether it is a community mining scheme or otherwise. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware. And the Honorable Member for Bole Bamboy knows that whenever he brings these matters to my attention, we deal with them swiftly. So after my session in this House, I'll have a chat with him, and whatever we have to do, we'll do it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, I'll move on.
Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Question number 1513. The name of the Honorable Member for Tamale North. Alhassan Suibu Suhini. Yes.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources how many hectares of plantation the Forestry Commission, through the Youth Employment Agency, has established across the country since its introduction. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Youth in Afforestation Reforestation Project, as a component of the Youth Employment Agency, was launched in 2018 to engage the youth to undertake forest restoration, management, and protection interventions nationwide. Implementation of the project, which is a fully funded government initiative, commenced in April 2018 with the progressive engagement of 46,000 beneficiaries as at the end of December 2018. Currently, there are about 33,000 employees under the Youth in Afforestation program, directly under the Forestry Commission. Mr. Speaker, since the introduction of the program, a total of 179,861.6 hectares of forests have been cultivated. The breakdown is contained in the table below, and I want Hansa to capture same. Mr. Speaker, in addition to the above, the program has also produced a total of 24,554,485 seedlings to support various afforestation programs of government. Employees of this program have also, so far, undertaken maintenance of 21,734.1 hectares of established forest plantations. Some of them have also been involved in other forest management and protection activities, including forest reserve boundary cleaning and patrolling, fire protection, and stock surveys. So far, 1,200 of them have been involved in these forest protection measures. Mr. Speaker, These afforestation measures are being complemented by other initiatives such as the Green Ghana Day, the Green Street Project, the Forest Investment Program, the Cocoa and Forest Initiative, the National Alternative Employment and Livelihood Program, and the Ghana Landscape Restoration and Small-Scale Mining Project. Mr. Speaker, the importance of trees to our survival and the sustenance of our planet cannot be emphasized. The government of President Akufo-Addo remains fully committed to protecting the forest cover of our country, increasing our forest estate, and restoring degraded forest lands. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me commend the Minister for the detailed response provided. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the table that has been provided as part of the answer to the question, I see forest plantation, 2018, 6,685 hectares. 2019, 9,620 hectares. Mr. Speaker, 9,620 hectares translates to 23,722 acres. And Mr. Speaker, this means, given that a football field is 1.32 acres, that we are talking about a size of about 17,900 football fields. Will the Minister be kind enough to point to locations of these plantations that are so large?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the information the Honourable Member is asking for was not part of the question which was posed, the substantive question was posed. Mr. Speaker, if the Honourable Member so desires and wants that kind of info, if he poses that sort of question, I'll get the Forestry Commission to give me the records and I'll provide it to the House. Thank you, sir.
Yes. Kindly give him notice, he will provide the details, but you may ask another one.
Mr. Speaker, it's curious that the Minister gives us the hectares but does not seem to have the information of their location immediately available.
Just ask another question.
Okay, Mr. Speaker, as you wish, I will move to my next question. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the Minister, who states in his answer that currently there are about 33,000 employees under the program. How many unpaid allowances are owed to these workers? And why the burden of the debt is on the Forestry Commission and not the National Youth Employment Program, as he indicated? Thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, just for the records, with the greatest respect to my friend, I don't have to have all these records off my fingertips, Mr. Speaker. This is a House of Records. When a member asks a question, you need to make sure that the records you provide are unimpeachable. So a diligent minister will have to seek the records from the relevant agencies. I can't give it off the top of my head. Mr. Speaker, the issue of the allowances of employees of youth in afforestation, Mr. Speaker, I must admit has been a major challenge. And the ministry is working hand in glove with the Ministry of Finance to be able to address the issue of arrears of beneficiaries under the Youth in Afforestation Program. Mr. Speaker, and also to find a mechanism in the context of the current economic challenges we are going through to rationalize this program so that it becomes sustainable. Mr. Speaker, the number of months which is owed the employees of the Youth in Afforestation is quite substantial, but I don't have the exact number of months. If a substantive question is posed, Mr. Speaker, I'll provide that answer. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, again, I don't have an answer to the number of months and why the burden of the debts owed is on the Forestry Commission and not the Youth Employment Program. But I will, as you have directed, proceed to my next question. The Speaker, in answer to the question on the table provided again, the Speaker, the Minister indicates to us that about 16,308 acres were cultivated as forest plantations in 2018, about 23,700 acres. That's if you translate it into acres. And we don't know the locations yet, but there is a sharp drop in 2022 to 3,302 hectares. Yet, there is no corresponding drop of workers under the program. Can the Minister explain to us what accounts for the drop in the number of hectares cultivated when workers significantly have not dropped under the program? The number of workers significantly has not dropped under the program.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I sought to explain in my substantive answer, the Youth in Afforestation Program employees, Mr. Speaker, are deployed for various purposes. And Mr. Speaker, you will recall and possibly take note that when the Green Ghana Day was initiated, a lot of these Youth in Afforestation Program employees were deployed to support that program, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, these various components are given, the breakdown, forest plantation, enrichment, planting, trees on farm. These are programs, Mr. Speaker, who get worn down as we move forward. And so if you have 2018 having 6,685.6 hectares, it is just because the program had just begun. And as we move forward, there is a lot more to do with maintenance, nurturing of the trees and the rest. And you will have the same number of employees, but deployed for different purposes, which I said, such as cultivating, nurturing the trees, and making sure that the tree grows. So, Mr. Speaker, when you have a reduction to 3,302, you shouldn't be surprised. It is just because the program moves in phases. That is the explanation for the drop. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Clotilde Kole.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Just seeking your leave to ask a supplementary question.
Very well, yes.
Thank you very much. If I may ask, does the Minister have any aerial photographs of these areas that he's saying have been cultivated that he can share with the House? Aerial photographs of these areas that you're saying you have cultivated, so we can actually see where they are and what the extent of the cultivation looks like.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm even more than happy to come here with the officials of the Forestry Commission to give a PowerPoint presentation and videos of these plantations. Mr. Speaker, the Forestry Commission is a state agency, a creature of law, and I have no reason why they will provide this House with statistics or data which are impeachable. Mr. Speaker, they will never do that. These are hectares which have been cultivated, they are verifiable, they are located in this country, and we can provide any information relating to these hectares. Yes, they are unprecedented. I appreciate that. This is a lot of cultivation being done in such a short space of time. But these are the facts, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Very well, I move on to question number 1570 in the name of the honourable member for Sisala West, Mr. Mohammed Adam Subaru.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources what measures the Ministry is putting in place to prevent general encroachment of government lands. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of encroachment of public lands is widespread due to several years of inaction. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, in the case of Memuna Modi and Enchi, Justice Datiban had this to say about public lands. Compulsorily acquired land is constantly being encroached upon by private persons, and the practice is well known. The public authorities responsible for the lands in question often do not take the legal steps necessary to evict the encroachers, end quote. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, in collaboration with the Lands Commission, the constitutional body responsible for the management of public lands, is taking every step necessary to move away from this situation. Currently, the Lands Commission is undertaking an inventory of public lands, including those that have been encroached upon, to ensure maximum protection of these lands. Mr. Speaker, Section 236 of the Land Act 2020, Act 1036, enjoins the Lands Commission or any agency for whose benefit land has been acquired to take the necessary steps to recover the land from encroachment. This includes using reasonable force to eject encroachers from the land and demolish any structure on the land. In accordance with this statutory provision, Mr. Speaker, the Lands Commission, in collaboration with the Ghana Police Service, has undertaken a number of operations to recover encroached public lands. The Commission is also working with the Ghana Police Service to provide protection for all public lands and prevent them from further encroachment. Through this collaboration, adequate logistics are being provided to the Ghana Police Service to undertake regular patrols and improve visibility on public lands to deter encroachers. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has constituted a public lands protection team chaired by the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Benito Usubio, to support the efforts of the Lands Commission and the Ghana Police Service in the protection of public lands. We are also engaging ministries, departments, and agencies, as well as metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, to take steps to protect land acquired for their use or which fall within the jurisdiction of the assemblies. Mr. Speaker, since the coming into force of 1036, encroachment of public offence, punishable by a fine of up to 2,000 penalty units and a term of imprisonment. We are therefore also continuing with public education on these provisions of the law as a encroachment. Mr. Speaker, public lands are by Article 2571 of our national constitution the property of the people of Ghana, vested in the President of the Republic. In the exercise of this fiduciary duty, the President, through the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, is committed to working with all stakeholders to put for the benefit of the Ghanaian people. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to find out from the Honorable Minister, despite these systems put in place, there is often a perception that some state officers are connived with notorious landlords or contractors, such as Clement Zato, in places like dairy farms, animal research, and some other places, who is engaged in demolishing people's properties on government lands. I want to find out from the minister what authority do these people have. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's very interesting and striking that my friend from Sisala West is very interested in the public lands of Greater Accra. But, Mr. Speaker, that is fine. Be that as it may. Mr. Speaker, it tells me that he's a member of Parliament who is interested in all the public lands of our country. Mr. Speaker, as I said in my answer, we have established the Public Lands Protection Unit at the Ministry, the Public Lands Protection Team, which is chaired by the Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Honorable Benito Owusubio. Mr. Speaker, this team is made up of various actors from various agencies of our country, the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Armed Forces, and several actors who have expertise in the protection of public lands. Mr. Speaker, the team has been working to protect public lands and also ward off encroachers of public lands. Mr. Speaker, I thought my friend was interested in the protection of public land. That is the import of his substantive question. He's now asking me why this team is demolishing properties and what authority they do. The authority they have is that I have constituted that team, and the team is supposed to protect and recover public lands. And in instances where they have to demolish, where they have to use reasonable force, as dictated by the New Lands Act 1036, they do so. And some of the examples you cited is very much in accord with the dictates of the New Lands Act, which is that we deploy reasonable force to protect the public lands of our country. We are doing exactly what you expect us to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. But I just want to use the opportunity to correct a perception created by my good friend. Mr. Speaker, the minister knows very well that I am a member of Lands and Forestry Committee, Mr. Speaker, and we are doing our job as committee members. And so if there are issues in the sector, and I ask for the minister to come and tell us happening at the sector, I don't think that I must come from Accra to have the right to ask questions regarding Accra. Mr. Speaker,
only the snag there is that I'm surprised that committee members will bring the minister here to ask questions when he is available to you on call.
Mr. Speaker, my second question.
Yes.
The Honourable Minister said that a committee is being constituted. And in my question, I mentioned a particular name, Clement Zato. I want to find out from the Honourable Minister whether the said Clement Zato is a contractor being hired by his ministry, or he's an officer, or he is an employee of Ministry of Lands and Natural. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the gentleman in question, Mr. Clement Jato, is being an agent or contractor of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, I believe, since the year 2013 or so. Since the year 2013, he's been working with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. And I inherited his arrangements with the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. Mr. Speaker, I reviewed those arrangements by setting up this official team under the ministry, which is the Public Lands Protection Team, of which he is a member of the team. And the team is chaired by the Deputy Minister. Mr. Speaker, that is the involvement of the gentleman in question in respect of the protection of public lands in our country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well, you're done. The last question to the Minister of Lands is in the name of the Honourable Member for Gomoa East, Mr. Desmond de Graaf Peyton. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, Honorable de Graaf Peyton is indisposed and has asked me to ask permission from you to stand in for him. If you give me the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources the state of Ghana's forest reserves and measures put in place to curb illegal mining and agricultural activities in the forest reserves.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Section 2 of the Forest Act 1927, Cap 157, empowers the President of the Republic to, by executive instrument, constitute land as a forest reserve. The total size of the forest reserve, together with the protected areas, is approximately 1.2 million hectares. Outside these forest reserves and protected areas, there are also several forests across the country, known as off-forest reserves. A 2020 study undertaken by the Forestry Commission in partnership with the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology and the University of Edinburgh put Ghana's total forest cover, both reserve and off-reserve, at approximately 6.57 million hectares. Mr. Speaker, the Forestry Commission has put in place several measures to protect our forest reserves from these drivers of deforestation and forest degradation. Among them are regular patrolling of the forest reserve, protection and maintenance of internal and external boundaries of forest reserves, awareness creation and stakeholder sensitization, decommissioning and demobilization of equipment used for illegal mining in forest reserves. Mr. Speaker, specifically in curbing illegal mining in forest reserves, we have suspended recognizance, prospecting and/or exploration activities in forest reserves, except in exceptional circumstances. With the help of the military, the Forestry Commission has cordoned off all forest reserves and protected areas in the country. Operation Hall 2 continues to support these measures. Mr. Speaker, Operation Hall 2 has since seen the decommissioning and demobilization of a number of equipment and structures in forest reserves, including the decommission of 4 excavators in the Bibiani Forest District between 2022 and 2023, 7 excavators in the Oda River Forest Reserve in January 2023, 6 excavators in the Apramprama Forest Reserve in January 2023, 1 excavator in the Tiwa Forest Reserve in January 2023, among others. Mr. Speaker, government will continue to take all measures against illegal mining activities in our country, and I'm happy to report that these measures are yielding some results, with some of our river bodies visibly clearing up and the turbidity levels of these river bodies on the downward trend. Mr. Speaker, we are not out of the woods yet. Illegal mining persists. We are dealing with money, and we know that the cartels involved will find every possible means to outwit our efforts, but we will not relent. Mr. Speaker, government's commitment to the protection and management of the forest reserve of our country is evident in the gamut of measures that have been enumerated above. Let me assure the House that we will continue to employ all necessary measures to ensure that the forest reserves of our country are protected. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, paragraph 4 of the Minister's answer is informing us about measures they have put in place to deal with the situation. It's an admission that such illegal activities are going on. Minister, tell us how many arrests have they made so far in connection with these illegal activities?
The minister did not say he has made arrests, so ask him whether he has made any arrests. Honorable Minister, have you made any arrests in respect of illegal mining in the forest reserves?
Mr. Speaker, several arrests have been made, and indeed numerous prosecutions are ongoing. Some convictions have been secured, sentences have been given, and I do know that some of these criminals are serving custodial sentences as we speak. Mr. Speaker, but the information the honourable member is asking of me is, with respect, quite strange. Even as we speak now, arrests may be ongoing as we speak. And so if a substantive question is asked on a specific issue of the number of people who have been arrested up to a particular date, Mr. Speaker, I can find the information and provide it to the House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I think the minister did not answer the question I asked. I asked how many arrests? How many?
Honorable Member says that if that question had been asked specifically, he will pick from the various stations and provide it to you. But he knows that several have been made, several cases are pending before court, but he can't give you a specific number. Kindly ask another question, please.
Mr. Speaker, can the minister assure the House of proper investigations of the arrested individuals and prosecution to serve as deterrent to others who are engaged in destroying these reserves?
Honourable Member, you can file that as a specific question. He will get the details for you. If you have another question, please ask it. Are you done? Very well. Honourable Minister for Lands, thank you for attending upon the House to answer questions. You are discharged now. The next set of questions will be answered by the Minister for Transport. You may now take your seat, Minister for Transport. The first is by the Honourable Member for Adaklu, Mr. Kwame Govins Agboja. You may ask your question now.
Right, Honourable Speakers, thank you for the opportunity to ask the Minister for Transport what steps the Ministry has taken to construct an airport in the Upper East region and an international airport at Takoradi as promised in the 2019 budget statement and economic policy of the government.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think my honourable member knows that this question, I've answered it already in June 2022 this year. And if there's any check, I'll reconcile with him. But he's very much aware that this particular question has been answered. Thank you, Mr.
Honourable, the Speaker has admitted the question. So can he tell the answer?
Mr. Speaker, it is a government policy to establish an airport or airstrip in each region to boost tourism and trade. Mr. Speaker, if you read the 2019 budget statement, and I quote, the Ministry will facilitate the construction of airports, airstrips, and helipads in all regions to link economic and social activities. However, Mr. Speaker, we had some few challenges because of the COVID situation. Now that the COVID situation is now over, Mr. Speaker, we are returning to normalcy and we are revisiting the issue of constructing helipad and airport in all the regions. Mr. Speaker, with respect to the Takoradi International Airport, as I speak, a feasibility study has been completed and a suitable site has been identified for the development of a new airport between Central and Western region. It is expected that the procurement process, Mr. Speaker, will be commenced in earnest to engage a strategic partner for the development of the airport. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, any follow-up questions?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. May I ask the Honourable Minister what preparatory works have been done so far on both airport projects?
Mr. Speaker, like I said, in relationship to the Takoradi Central one, I said that the feasibility study is now completed. We have engaged all stakeholders, and the report is ready to be submitted to Cabinet. But all things being equal, the procurement process will start this year. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, what are plans for the Upper East project or airport project?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, once again, like I said in the budget statement, that it is a policy of government to make sure that we have at least airport or helipad in all this. But like I said, we need to have information before we can go ahead in terms of construction. But we have some few challenges. The consultant that we hired could not do the work because of the COVID. But now we have started again. So in terms of Boga and other places, the consultant is now doing the studies and he will come out with the various reports. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, is there a timeline for which you are intending to procure the consultants to start the feasibility on the Upper East Airport?
Mr. Speaker, the consultant had already been procured by Ghana Airport Company, who is doing the work. And like I said, he had a challenge because of the COVID, but he has resumed his work, so he's now working on it.
Very well. The next, yes.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister, in his response, says that it is still government's plan to have an airport in all the regions of Ghana. We all know that as part of the ongoing IMF negotiations, a number of projects have been suspended. Is the Minister for Transport assuring this House that these airports have not been affected by the ongoing negotiations with the IMF, which has led to a number of projects being suspended? Are you giving us that assurance that regardless of the IMF program, these airports will be constructed? I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and I think it is important that I clarify. I said it is the plan of government to have airport or airstrip in this country. Airstrip might not necessarily be an airport, but we have a plan with which we are doing the study. Mr. Speaker, in terms of the IMF program, I think that if we have, the IMF are also giving us a leeway that if some projects are important to us, they will exempt us in doing it. So whatever program that we have, I think that we can also discuss with IMF how important that program is to us. And if there's any chance, we will go ahead and implement that particular project. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
Mr. Speaker, there is an airstrip in Paga, in the Upper East region. There was work towards the construction of an aerodrome in Bolga, between Bolga and then Navrongo. In fact, the contract was awarded and work had actually started. But I hear the minister saying that a consultant is to be procured to carry out studies towards the construction of an airport. Can he reconcile the fact of the existence of construction for an airport within the Bolga municipality and his statement that he is now looking to engage a consultant to propose plans or design the construction of an airport? Can you reconcile these facts?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, my answer was not specifically in relation to Boku or the project that he's talking about. I said government has plans to have airstrip or airport in every region. For those who have run already, the studies are not going to be affected. So for the construction that he is talking about, that the procurement was they procure somebody for the construction, it means that it's not part of the design or the new plan, that it is already ongoing. But I'll find out specifically what he's saying. If it is not going to be affected, I will let him know. But the studies is not part of those that we have earmarked or we are already building, but the new ones that we have plans to do the studies and build. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. The next question is by the honourable member for Akan, Mr. Yao Gomado.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to ask the Minister for Transport when the Regional Maritime University Auditorium Complex, Administration Block, and other developmental projects which have been abandoned for years to be completed.
Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the auditorium complex comprises of a 3-story with seating capacity of 2,200. The current percentage of completion as per an assessment undertaken by the project consultant is 30%. The project is being funded by Government of Ghana but due to some challenges related to the funding, works have stalled. Once this challenge is resolved, work will resume. Mr. Speaker, the library and administration complex comprises of 7-story offices blocks with a basement for car park and is being funded under the GET Fund project. The percentage of completion is also 35% as per the latest assessment by the project consultant. This project is also facing a similar challenge as the auditorium complex, and work will resume as soon as this challenge is resolved. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, can the minister explain the challenge with the GET Fund, I beg your pardon? Is it the case that the GET Fund is not generating enough fund for its activities?
And I will ask another question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to find out from the minister if he has any idea when these challenges are likely to be resolved for work to resume on this project, since they have been abandoned for many years.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I did say that we are facing financial challenges. And like he said, this year we do not have any allocation for it because of difficulties confronting us. But if our finances improve, I'm sure the Ministry of Finance will allocate funds to it and the project will resume. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to find out from the minister if the ministry could appeal to the other 4 member countries, that is Cameroon, Gambia, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, to support this project since they also benefit. Thank you.
Yes. And not just Cameroon. The West African countries that together constitute the Regional Maritime Organization, are they paying their contributions?
Mr. Speaker, in terms of member states, yes. But because the government of Ghana is the host of the university, there are certain obligations on us that we are supposed to fulfill. And some of these obligations are the construction of the auditorium and the library building. And like I said, it is not the responsibility of other member countries to contribute to some of these infrastructure. They are also putting up other infrastructures within the Gambia has put up a hostel, which is for the use of the university. This is government of Ghana's obligation. And like I said, we have no contact, but I don't think that we should divert this attention to them. It is our responsibility, and we find a way to do it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Are you done? Yes, Doc.
Mr. Speaker, this university is of concern to us because it's a regional university, and you would think that indeed the collective efforts of all the member countries will contribute for this work to continue. So it is not just Ghana. And from his answer, we don't see clearly whether Ghana has the responsibility as the host country and therefore must be responsible for all the financial outlays for this work, or is the collective efforts of the member countries to have the institution function. So again, the minister should clarify the funding regime for expansion of infrastructure within the Regional Maritime University. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I said that Ghana has a responsibility because we are a host country to put up some infrastructure. And other countries also have other responsibility, putting up other stuff. Like I said, Gambia has put up a hostel. But the auditorium and the library is part of the responsibility of government of Ghana to put up such facilities for the university as a host country. And that is why government of Ghana is constructing both the auditorium and the library complex. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. I'll move on. By the same honourable member, question number 1277, honourable member Falcon.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity once again to ask the Minister for Transport what measures are being taken to retrieve the land designated to the then Ghana Nautical College, now the Regional Maritime University, being encroached on by private developers.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the land in question is currently under litigation between the Regional Maritime University and the Lungwa Lands 2. Mr. Speaker, the court case is currently at the case management stage. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, thank you. Since you refer the case to be in court, I have no further question.
Very well. I'll move on to question number 1497. The name of the Honorable Member for Tamale North. Alassane Saibu Suini.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I have the permission of Honorable Alassane Suini to ask the question on his behalf. So if you still permit,
I want to investigate this permission. When did he give you permission?
I have his authority to ask the question.
What's the difference between permission and authority?
On his behalf, Mr. Speaker.
Very well.
Thank you. I rise to ask the Minister for Transport why a new expensive tower has been constructed at the Kotoka International Airport and how much it cost the state.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, so far as I'm concerned, or the authorities concerned, there has not been any construction of a new tower at Kotoka International Airport. I'm sure the one which is there, maybe I'm sure 1953 or 1957 that they constructed. I don't know. If the honorable member knows where the tower is situated, maybe he can. But so far as I'm concerned, there will not be any construction of any new tower at the Kotoka International Airport. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, is the Minister aware that a technical committee report recommended that the anomaly such an expensive tower seeks to fix can be done by installing less expensive CCTV systems? And the fact that he, in his response, he says that he's unaware of the construction of any new tower. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking this question for and on behalf of the Honorable Alassane Suini, and this is a follow-up question he asked me to ask.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I haven't seen any new tower being constructed. There's no new tower which has been constructed. So I don't know what he's talking about.
Are you aware of any technical report? He's saying that the technical report says that what they seek to do could have been done by a CCTV. Are you aware of any such technical report?
Because there has not been any new tower, so I don't know any technical report concerning any new tower which has been constructed. He said the tower has been constructed, and I'm saying that I don't know any new tower which has been constructed at the Kotoka International Airport. Maybe if he's talking about plans, I don't know. But if he said the tower has been constructed at the airport, I haven't seen it. And civil aviation has not constructed any new tower.
Very well. Yes.
Yes, has there been any work done on the existing tower?
Yes, Honorable. Are there anything being done on the existing tower?
Mr. Speaker, the question to me was the construction of a new tower, which I found out from Ghana Airport, Ghana Civil Aviation, which they said they have not constructed any new tower. But if you're talking about a report that they want me to go and find out, maybe I may find out and come and tell you.
are you aware that anything is being done, even on the existing tower?
Mr. Speaker, nothing of such came to my attention for me to find out from them. But now that he's asking those questions, I will find out from them. But for now, I am not aware that any new tower has been constructed.
Very well. Now the next question is by the Honourable Member for Tamale Central, Mr. Mutala Mohammed Ibrahim.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister for Transport, how much government has generated from the private entities operating at the spaces within the Terminal 3 at the Kutuka International Airport from the year 2017 till date?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kotoka International, Terminal 3 at Kotoka International Airport became operational in 2018. So we started operating the airport at 2018 and not 2017. And Mr. Speaker, from 2018 up to today, revenue generated from September 2018 to December 2022 is 136,525,961 from these private entities through royalties and rent. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, per the response given by the Minister and in my subsequent questions, a response or answer has been provided indicating that the charges for the purposes of rent and royalties are done in dollars. Now, the Minister's response indicates that between 2018 till date, the Ghana Airport Company generated 136,525,961 Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know at what exchange rate did he arrive at this figure of 136,525,961 Ghana cedis?
Yes, Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think the honourable member is very, I don't know whether they will quote in dollars, but when the clients are paying, they pay in cedis. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, dollar rate in this country has never been stable. We have different rates at different times. So I don't know whether he wants, if they paid in dollars, we wanted to use an average rate to do the conversion.
But Honourable Minister, let's confirm, are they collecting rent in dollars?
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, no. They paid in cedis. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I made reference to an answer provided by the Minister. And in paragraph 500 in the order paper, the Minister indicated how much each of the operators pay. If you check in the table, Light Restaurant pays 280 Ghana cedis. The heading is raise pay per square meter per annum in dollars. So the question is simple. You came, even whether the people are paying in dollars or cedis, the charges are made in dollars. And therefore, if anybody is going to pay, the person is going to pay at the prevailing dollar-cedi exchange rate. And that is why I'm asking the question. If you provide an answer 136 million Ghana cedis plus, and the dollars, whether they pay in dollars or in cedis, they must pay at the equivalent of dollar-cedi exchange rate. That is the answer I want. At what exchange rate?
Honourable, let's leave it here. Under Ghana law, nobody can receive payment in dollars. Right? So the minister cannot report in dollars. You can convert this figure to the cedi, the dollar equivalent, but the minister cannot report to us as rent received in dollars. That would be illegal.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not saying that he should quote it in dollars. He provided a figure as to how much they generated between September 2018 to I think September 2022. But the charges are made in dollars. I do understand that the people may be asked to pay in cedis. For example, if a dollar rate last month is 15 cedis to $1, and this month it reduces to 12 cedis $1, the payment in cedi equivalent will not be the same. So what I'm simply seeking from the minister is the 136 million Ghana cedis. At what rate, at what exchange rate did they collect it? That's my question.
And I will ask another question, please. This is just going to complicate the issues with legality. So just ask another question, please. Or reframe your question.
Mr. Speaker, my question is simple. The 136 million Ghana cedis plus stated by the minister in his response, the charges are done in dollars. I want to know at what exchange rate did he arrive at the 136 million Ghana cedis? That's what I want to know.
The minister has not talked total receipts in dollars. The answer he has given here is cedis. If you think that the cedis you should convert to dollars, you can do your own calculation and ask him. But he says the rate is this per dollars. He didn't say they receive the rent in dollars. That would be illegal. That would be illegal. If you're going to buy a ticket, they'll quote it to you in dollars, but you pay with cedi. So if you are accounting for it, you account the cedi. But if you're converting, then you convert at the rate at which, at the point it was converted. But I don't want us to insist that the figure he quoted, the cedi, at what figure, as if he collected the GCA, the GCA or airport company. Airport company collected the rent in dollars. We don't have that any such information. So let it be guide your further.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Perhaps if I can ask the minister to give us the breakdown of the charges they made and the payments that were made by those who were operating in those spaces. Perhaps that could help.
Our colleague should be fair to the minister. This is a substantive question, and he should rather file a question to the minister. To request to ask for details, specific details. The minister cannot provide a specific details on the spur of the moment. He should rather file a question, and then the minister can provide such details to him. That's what you should do, and you check your orders.
I will ask another question, please. The question you asked, okay. The minister is not the receiving agent. He has to go to the Ghana Airport Company to procure that information for you. So it requires notice. That's why I ask another question. The question relating to the answer he has given here.
Mr. Speaker, I'll move to the next question. I get the sense that we may not have the answer, but I think if the minister could tell us how quickly he can provide this answer to this House, I think that it would help. But if the directive, Mr. Speaker, is that I should file another question demanded, then that is fair.
That is the rule.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, let me go to my second question.
Very well. Question number
Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Transport how much each of the private entities operating at the airport pay for a square meter.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the rate per square meter is charged per annum. The different category of rate per square meter per annum as follows. One, you have a commercial category, that's the rate per square meter. We have food and beverages, light restaurant, Mr. Speaker, 280, heavy restaurant, 290, pub, 300, duty-free, we have arrival space, 500, departure space 520, pharmacy, 300, electronics, 300, jewelry, 400, business lunch, 425, CIP lunch, 500, medical laboratory, 500, hotel lunch, 650, offices, that's offices for banks, ground handlers, around 650, vending machine, 600 per location, wrapping services, 2,500 per machine, and ATMs, 10,000 per machine. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, all the figures provided by the minister, per what I have on the other paper, are all in dollars. All the figures. And Mr. Speaker, that gives credence to the question I was asking earlier, that it would have been appropriate if the minister wanted to quote, he quote them in cedi equivalent, so that we would know that $280 is this amount of money, $300 is this. But I won't belabor that point much. What I want to know, Mr. Speaker, out of the figures provided, he indicated that we have a light restaurant and a heavy restaurant. I am completely at sea. The difference between a light restaurant and a heavy restaurant. So if you could expatiate on that before I proceed with the next follow-up question I have. Thank you.
Honourable Minister says what's the difference between a light restaurant and a heavy restaurant?
Mr. Speaker, in our definition, the light restaurants are those who are selling coffee. I think Jazira is here, you will be able to speak better for me. And the heavy restaurants are those who are serving heavy food like rice, banku, and fufu and other things. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the minister's response, he has given us a table. And it is very clear that those who operate at the airport pay different rates depending on what you deal in. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know, out of the private entities operating there, how many of them are operating in light restaurants, heavy restaurants, pub? How many are pharmacies? How many are jewelry? Because the rate at which they operate there differ. I would love the minister to provide this detailed information for us. Thank you.
Yes, Honourable Minister, do you have the details?
Mr. Speaker, to be honest, I don't have the details. If you give me the opportunity and he asks for another question, maybe I may come here with those details. But now I don't have them. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the minister is saying I should file another question. If you look at the minister's response in one of my questions, the last question, and as captured in paragraph 1501, the minister is able to tell us that at duty-free, 20 private entities operate there. As the Minister of State responsible for the airport, if he's able to give us this information, he should be in the position to give us the other information I am seeking. So it is strange that he's telling me that one I should file another question, yet he provided detailed answer with regards to the third question.
Honourable Mutala, you asked specifically. He will go and ask the agency and get the details. If you don't ask him, he will answer the question you asked. 1500 says how each of the private entities operating pay per square meter. That details, he has gotten them for you. But whether they are 10 or 20 square meters per each, if you ask him now, he may not be able to tell you. So the details you want, ask, because the information does not sit at the ministry. The minister will go to the agency and collect the information for you. If you asked about shops operating at the duty free. He provided information because the Ghana Airport Company will give him the information. So please, ask specifically, as he said. If he had it here, he will give it to you. If he doesn't, he will say, give him notice. That is actually our rules. The rule is that the follow-up question should not introduce new matters. So please ask another question.
Mr. Speaker, who am I to challenge your directive? But strangely, the answer I even wanted as to how he arrived at 136 million Ghana cedis, when he himself has indicated that the charges are done in dollars, that one too, he gave same excuse. But I'll go to the third question, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I asked him whether they received the money in dollars, and he said no. You heard that, didn't you?
They charge in dollars.
They don't. They charge in dollars, but
Yes.
they don't receive it in dollars.
So
you buy tickets, they charge you in dollars, but you pay in cedi, don't you? Please ask another question.
Mr. Speaker, that is why I needed the exchange rate at which he arrived at 136 million. The very point we are making. If they charge in dollars and the people pay in cedis.
Adam, do you have another question? Please proceed.
Okay. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the minister, currently, do they charge in dollars or they charge in cedis?
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, our rates are stated in it. We charge, our rates are in dollars, by in paying, they convert it and pay in cedis. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mutala, are you done? That is your second follow-up question on 1500. Let's proceed and ask your third follow-up question.
Mr. Speaker, the minister just said they convert it to cedis. I wanted to know the conversion rate. Maybe perhaps the exchange.
Yes, Honorable Minister, at what rate do you convert?
Mr. Speaker, the rates are set. It's not constant, it's different from time to time. So it will be difficult for me to say that we converted at 4.3, 2.4, because the monies are paid in different times. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No. You are finished with your follow-up. You are finished with your follow-up question. Here's the champion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, I have one substantive question. I haven't answered.
We must finish with 1500 before we come to.
I just want to know the answer,
Mr. Speaker, I would like to find out from the minister, looking at the answer provided at page 41, the head note reads rate per square meter per annum, and they are quoting them in dollars. But when it comes to the tail end of it, you see vending machine, 600 per location. Wrapping services, $2,500 per machine. ATMs, $10,000 per machine. Can the minister expatiate on this? Is he telling us that if I have a square meter and then I put 3 ATM machines there, I'm going to pay 30,000 or what?
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Speaker, I don't think that 3 ATM machines will go into 1 square meter. So once you are saying that your ATM machine, if you fix it there, and if covered the square meter, you pay 10,000.
Yes.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to seek clarity from the Honourable Minister on the ATM machines. Is it the case that the ATM machine is per banking institution, or regardless of if it's, say, Zenith Bank, if you are bringing 3 ATM machines, you have to pay 10,000 times 3? or is it per bank, per banking institution? Just clarification. I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I said that the square meter has been reached, but in terms of ATM machine, and that is the charge, that's how much one square, but I'll find out from them in detail. Whether if it go beyond the square meter that is stated, you pay that additional money. That one I need to check and get back to you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just would like to ask the Minister, as a matter of fact, this information is available. The Ghana Airports Company, Mr. Speaker, I used to be on the board of Airports Company, so I know. This information is available. And the question actually should have given, the question was clear. How much each of the private entities operating at the airport pay for a square meter space? So whether there are 5 light restaurants or 3 light restaurants, that information. As a matter of fact, you can also ask for the age analysis of the debt, because not all the tenants there will pay their rent on time. So that also is available. So I will entreat my colleague to ask further about the debt profile also of the tenants who are there. That information is available. When it comes to that, they were very efficient at bringing that information out. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Very well. Now move on to the next question. 1501. Tamale Central, Butala Mohammed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to ask the Minister for Transport the number of entities operating at the duty-free area of Terminal 3 at the Kuduka International Airport and how the contracts were awarded. Thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, 20 entities are currently operating in the duty-free area of Terminal 3 at Kotoka International Airport. The contract were awarded following an advert placed in the Daily Graphic and Ghanaian Times or upon request. Upon request by private companies or entities who want to operate at the Kotoka International Airport duty free. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I would like the Minister to expatiate on the contracts awarded through advertisement and those through the individual request.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have them now, but I can cross-check and get back to you. Or if you ask, I can cross-check. But I don't have how many were done through advert or how many were done through request. I don't have those details, but I can get back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, the question, Honorable Minister, was also included how the contracts were awarded. So the question actually required you to provide that information. To ask the Minister for Transport the number of entities operating at the duty-free area, Terminal 3 at Kotoka International Airport, how the contracts were awarded to them. You may have to come back and provide that information.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for that emphasis. The question is not about the processes through which the contracts were awarded. The question was specific. How the contracts were awarded. And I'm happy you reminded him. I don't think it will fall in line with the questions which he would have to come back, because this question was sent to him. So it is important he tells us how the contracts were awarded, Mr. Speaker. And thank you for that clarity. You will live very long.
Honorable, do you have a follow-up question? Do you have another question as follow-up?
Mr. Speaker, that is a follow-up question.
Very well, so we'll move on.
No, it's a follow-up question, how the contract was awarded. He hasn't answered.
He said I've directed him to provide that information. So you move on to ask another question.
Mr. Speaker.
If not, I'll proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I'll move on to my... Mr. Speaker, in the minister's response, he has indicated that 20 entities are currently operating. That 20 entities are currently operating. Is this suggestive that before these questions were put and the answer provided, there were more or less entities operating within the duty-free at the Terminal 3?
I'm not sure I understand your question. Is he suggesting that... Can he...
Mr. Speaker, his answer is that, with your permission, he said that, Mr. Speaker, 20 entities are currently operating in the duty-free area of Terminal 3. So if you say currently operating 20, so I want to know whether prior to these answers were provided, there were more than 20 or less than 20 operating at the duty-free of Terminal 3.
Yes, Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, there are 20 companies operating at the duty-free shop. Now, that's all.
Mr. Speaker, the question is not answered. My question is that if you say that 20 are currently operating, my question is very clear. Is it suggestive that before these questions were put to you and same answers provided, there were more than 20 operating or less? That's what I want to know.
Honorable, were all the shops started operating at the same time?
Mr. Speaker, that is more difficult. And that is why I will not be able to speak to any, because the shops are many. At times, some may be empty. People will come. At times, some. So for him to ask that, whether there are less at a point in time, it is not all the time that the shops.
So you are suggesting that the numbers fluctuate. Sometimes some come, others replace them.
Yes.
Some leave, others replace them.
Yeah.
But currently,
20 people are there. And I'm being frustrated by it.
Honourable members, order. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I understood what he said, it means that it is possible that the entities that were operating there were less or more, if I understood him very well. Except that I would conclude that since 2018 September, there have always been 20 entities operating within the spaces that duty-free. If that is the point he's making, then I understand.
He's saying that the space, some companies start, they fold up, others come, but as at the time he was answering your question, 20 were in operation. Yes.
I'm grateful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Honourable Minister in his response has indicated that there are two categories. That is, those who come by way of advertisement and those who come by way of requesting to use the space. I want to find out from the Honourable Minister what is the breakdown of these 20, the 20. How many came by advertisement and how many came by individual or private entity requests? The breakdown of the 20.
Yes, Honourable Minister, do you have the breakdown?
Mr. Speaker, I don't have the breakdown, but I can check and also let you know.
Very well. I'll move on. Question number 1502. The name of the Honourable Member for Shaman, Mr. N.S. Henry Nogbe.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I stand to ask the Minister for Transport the procurement method used in procuring the Christmas tree for decorations by the Ghana Airports Company Limited and how much was spent on this activity in 2021. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.